How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to another edition of the Stupid Questions podcast. Today on the pod, we're going to be talking with Lydia Russell. She's a professional triathlete who is just been in the game for a few years. She went to U of A and graduated there not too long ago as part of the triathlon program. Super nice gal. We talked deep about triathlon. We talked deep about her life and her actually losing her father not even a year ago, and going into other deep topics around religion and spirituality and the things that I hope you guys would start to expect from the type of conversations that I like having these days. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Lydia Russell. Nice.
Fell off the wall. So.
Did you buy that like custom, or did you?
No,
did
it was just from Amazon.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, Lydia, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I got up early with the intention of getting outside by 5:30. Didn't get outside till 6:15, so I'm a little bit behind schedule in terms of getting other things done, but it's all good. It's a beautiful day out here in Northern California.
Nice.
Where are you at? Where are you from?
I'm in Tucson. I live in Tucson. I'm not from Tucson. But...
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from just outside of Philadelphia, like near Villanova, kind of.
Okay, East Coast. Did you grow up around there?
Yeah, I grew up my whole life there.
Nice. What took you to Tucson?
Triathlon. My first coach did like training camps here, and then when I came to the U of A, I moved here full time.
Okay, nice. Do you when did you graduate U of A?
Just this past May. Well, actually, I haven't finished my classes yet,
Okay.
so I'm taking 2 right now that I have like 1 more week of, and then I have, one more that's 7 weeks, so and then I'll actually be done.
Okay, so you got to walk, but you still are kind of wrapping things up. Yeah. I did something similar. I went overseas for this end of class, I guess it was end of year, part of a class trip, and then I had to finish some classes afterwards, so it felt kind of weird after walking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, I guess first question that I would love to ask you is, from your perspective, who is Lydia?
I've been thinking about this. I'm prepared, kind of. I still don't
Okay.
have a good answer, but
Knocked out of the park.
yeah, I would say I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, I'm a triathlete, I'm a cat and dog mom.
Okay.
I'm a girlfriend. I'm very passionate about everything I do. Controversial whether this is important or not, but I'm an Aries, which to me, very important. Like, I think I'm an Aries to a T. I'm fiery and stubborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the basics.
Okay. Talk to me about the fiery kind of controversial side of you. Is that a nature thing or a nurture thing, or how does that make you feel?
Maybe both. It's hard to say because both my parents are kind of that way. Like, they're pretty like stubborn, and they both were like lawyers my whole growing up years. So they definitely like argued, like not like mean argued, but like, like had kind of intellectual sort of arguments around me, and like neither one of them was ever very quick to back down. So maybe a little bit of nurture, but I think I'm just like pretty not stubborn, and well, sometimes in a bad way, but like I'll kind of go after what I want, and yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What do you want out of life? Triathlon can be included, obviously, but give me like kind of the deepest what Lydia wants out of life.
I think I definitely want to feel like I make an impact on the people around me. Yeah, that's it. Like, whatever people around me, like in a big scale or a small scale, like making an impact on my family, or just making an impact like more broadly than that.
Who do you think has been the most impactful person on your life?
Oof. Maybe my parents, or maybe my grandma. I was just spending some time with her, because I raced Happy Valley in Pennsylvania, so I went to see her in Philadelphia, like before and after. And she's pretty much like my third parent. Like, she always watched me when my parents were at work, so I think definitely like I see a lot of myself in her, and we're like besties. Like, we just hang out, and it's always been that way.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That's super special that you're able to have that relationship. How old is your
Yeah.
grandmother?
I believe she's 84 or 85. I want to say
Okay.
84.
Yeah. But still mentally sharp enough to where you can have like that intellectual
Oh
connectivity.
yeah, mentally
That's
she
awesome.
is fantastic. She spends all her days reading books, and like
Mm.
I'll recommend books to her and she reads them. It's super fun. So,
Mm. What are some of the attributes about your grandmother that you just really appreciate and admire?
she's just kind of like she's like the quintessential grandmother. Like she's everybody's grandmother.
Mm.
Like growing up, my friends would come over and like she'd cook for them and they'd all call her Nana Sandy because like she just is everyone's grandmother and she loves animals. I think that's what I got like
Mm.
most from her. She has 3 cats and that's pretty much cats and books. That's her entire life. But she loves seeing pictures of my cats and my dog and stuff like that.
Oh, that's special. What kind of books does she like to read? Do you know?
Literally anything. Like it can be mostly fiction, but like historical fiction, mysteries,
Mm-hmm.
romance, like really anything. I got her a book when I was there called the cat that caught the killer. So she
Okay.
said she's loving that one right
Yeah,
now.
really a cross section between two of her loves, animals and then mystery with the
Yeah.
reading. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Are you an only child?
Yes, I was raised as an only child. I have 2 half brothers
Okay.
who are, I can never remember how old they are. They're both in their 40s, like mid to
Okay.
late 40s. So,
Yeah. So there's a bit of a gap there. You're in your early 20s, mid
yeah,
20s?
I'm 23.
Okay, nice. What do you what do you chalk up to you at 23 now, being a professional triathlete? What do you chalk up to leading you down that path?
Definitely, for the most part, like my own kind of innate drive and passion for things because there was never really, like, nobody ever kind of forced me down a path or like
Yeah.
people have pushed me, but like definitely my parents and my brothers, like they've always pushed me to kind of like get the best out of myself, but they've never put any pressure on me or like expected this level of performance out of me. Like they're just happy when it happens. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think definitely just like my internal drive and like wanting to see how good I can be.
Yeah. How good can you be?
I would hope to someday win either 70.3 worlds or Ironman worlds.
Yeah.
My coach thinks one day Kona is going to be in my future, but that's a long ways down the road.
Yeah, for sure. What kind of expectations do you hold Lydia to?
Um, Not like I try to not have like super big expectations for myself like in the
Yeah.
front of my mind. Of course, they're there in the back of my mind, but I think if I like put too much pressure on myself, it can get to be a lot. So, I think just kind of approaching everything with like, oh, how good can I be and like but if I fall short like in a workout not like getting mad at myself kind of thing, but then often that'll lead to me surprising myself and
Mm.
like doing better than I think I can do.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good feeling. Have you always held that same level of um, expectation or not, I guess, lack of expectation?
I think there have definitely been times where I've had too high of expectations for myself or like put too much pressure on myself. Particularly like I'd say in the past year, year and a half with swimming, I've really learned to kind of like I call it like the radical acceptance kind of mindset of I'm just gonna do my best in this session and
Mm.
whatever happens happens, but I'm not gonna like get frustrated or get upset if it's not going the way I want to. And I think
Yeah.
that's led to a lot of growth. And particularly, I've seen it on the swim because on my team here at Arizona, we do these open water sessions where we take all the lane lines out of the long course pool and we put buoys in. And
Oh.
I would get so frustrated when we first started doing them. And like, if people, like, say, for example, the instruction was like, go out, cruise, and like pick it up each buoy. But everyone would go out like race pace, get out speed. And I would get so frustrated. I'd be like, this person didn't do that, and this person didn't do that. And I got hit in the face, and blah, blah, blah. And it was so frustrating. And I would just get so mad. And then like my session would go downhill, and I would cry, and it was just terrible. But
Mm.
then over time I've tried to practice just like saying, okay, we're going to accept what happens and the only thing I can control is my effort. And if I'm putting a good effort in, I'm going to get what I need out of the workout. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. Like
Mm.
I just need to control what I can control and go hard when I'm supposed to go hard. And that's fine. Like I'll improve if I do that. And it's been crazy. Like the shift I've seen in that. And I like sometimes lose my head a little bit, but it's definitely easier to control when I go at it with that mindset.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Who gave you the push to start to adopt that kind of a mindset? Was it a coach?
Um, I don't know exactly. I would say probably my coach, Wes, because I think he just like, he's like, there's no point in getting mad. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of his attitude, like in general. Like, people can do whatever they're gonna do. Like, you can't control them. You can get frustrated with them, but like, it's not gonna help you to get frustrated with other people.
Yeah. Take me back to the beginning days, even before triathlon, when you first started to approach a world of athletics. I love the cat. Like, yeah. Walking on your keyboard, no less.
Yeah. Come on.
That's awesome. Take me back to the beginning days of like when you started to come to a place where you realized, oh, athletics is something that I enjoy or is something that I feel passionate about.
Yeah, so it started with swimming. I swam like summer league growing up, like when I was a really little kid, and then moved kind of to year round by the time I was 10. Yeah, and it's just always been something that I like felt really passionately about, and my best friends were on my swim team, and yeah, I don't it was just like always so fun for me and something I looked forward to, and yeah, still some of my best memories are like from those early days of swimming.
Yeah. How early did you have to get up to do the swimming gig?
Um, Not like that early till I was older, but
Yeah.
like in the summer it was so chill. It was like a 10 o'clock practice.
That's
That was
nice.
like the first thing of my day, and I think back to that, I'm like, oh, those were the days.
Yeah. What
But
is a
yeah,
yeah, what is a typical day in your life look like now?
now I wake up quite early because it's hot here in Tucson.
Yeah, I was gonna say like mega hot.
Yeah. It's like it's not terrible like when you compare it to somewhere with humidity, you know? Like the humidity gets pretty bad in
Yeah.
on like the East Coast, so it's almost nice in a way here that you can like wake up early and beat it because on the East Coast you can't wake up early and beat the humidity. It's
Yeah,
just
it's just
worse.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I usually wake up around like 4:30 or 5, like pretty early. I like to take my time getting up, which is my downfall in the summer because I have to wake up even earlier. I like to have an hour from like waking up to starting my activity.
Wow.
So, yeah, I wake up, have my coffee, eat my toast or whatever, and then like to sit around and just come to terms with being awake.
Yeah. Start to awake. What time do you get up then? Like 4:30, 5?
Yeah, 4:35.
Yeah, wow, that is early.
Yeah.
What is the peak temperature that you've seen so far this year in Tucson?
Like maybe 105. It hasn't gotten like
Yeah.
terribly hot yet. It's
Yeah.
so nice in the mornings.
Yeah, I just recently moved from the East Coast, Chattanooga, Tennessee, to here in Northern California in Redding, and we saw 107 a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago. I was really shocked because it's so far north, but I guess because it's kind of all the air gets slammed up here in the
Yeah.
north, it just sits there and you bake. It's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
That is crazy.
So we're getting a little Tucson-esque feel. But going back to, again, I guess like the early days of getting into swimming, when did you start to come into the, I guess, realm of triathlon? When did it come onto the scene for you?
Triathlon specifically not till 2022.
Okay, so
Wait,
fill in the gaps
Yeah.
then.
Or
Yeah.
sorry, the fall of 2021. So
Okay.
beginning of 2022.
So relatively.
Yeah, so I swam until I was 14, so the end of middle school. And in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, I picked up track just because you had to do like a sport every season because it was part of our school day. So I did water polo, swimming, and track. And I tried like hurdling and high jumping. Like I was not really a distance runner by any means. I ran the mile a couple times, broke 6 minutes once. It was, yeah, great. And then I like told my middle school track coach that I was going to try cross country my freshman year of high school. And so I didn't like really want to do it, but I was like, oh, well, I told her I would. So I'll go try this out. And I trained over the summer and went and ran cross country. And I really liked it. So then I had to like break the news to my mom that I wanted to quit swimming and really just like go all in on running for the year and do indoor track too. And she was not thrilled about it, but she was like, okay,
How
you
come?
can do that. well, she swam growing up, so it was like
Okay.
she was happy that I was a swimmer, and yeah, it broke her heart a little bit.
Mm.
She'll say that to this day. She's like, "You broke my heart, but it all worked out."
Was your dad also a swimmer?
No, he played like lacrosse and football, so I don't think he
Okay.
really cared what sport I did.
Yeah, as long as you did something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
so I ran all through high school and then was recruited to college to run.
Oh, is this at U of A?
No, I was recruited to Oregon first, and I was there for my freshman year. Then I transferred to New Mexico for my sophomore year, and then was injured there and at Oregon. So at New Mexico is where I got into cycling.
Mm. So that gap from leaving Oregon to, I guess, going to New Mexico and then finding yourself in Arizona, what was the story and the reasoning why behind you transferring schools and then the story of the injury?
Like in those first 2 years of college.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I got injured the first time because I was kind of left to my own devices during COVID,
Okay. Just
which
overtraining.
was, yeah, not good. So I went from like 40 miles a week up to 60, 65. And then some of my other training partners like went off to college or I couldn't see them. So I was just like running way too fast all the time because I was just by myself doing whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
So I got injured right when I got to Oregon, stress fracture, and then kind of spent the year recovering from that, but it just wasn't like really a great environment anyway.
Mm.
So then I decided to transfer like in that spring and went to New Mexico. And then again, was left to my own devices a little too much with the mileage. And I thought, great idea. We're just gonna ramp it up to 80 miles a week.
Oh, it's a lot.
Because, I was 19 years old and lacked some critical thinking in that
Yeah.
realm.
Experience. I mean, that's like ultra
Yeah,
distance, ultra runners mileage a week.
right. Yeah, it was not good. But like the coaches at New Mexico knew what I was doing, but they weren't like telling me I should be doing that. They were just like, okay.
Interesting.
But yeah, it was kind of an interesting like coaching model they had because they didn't like prescribe a mileage, so you could really do whatever you wanted.
What did they coach then? I mean, that's like
Like
you
the
just
key sessions, that was it.
that's it. A long run, a track workout.
Yeah.
Like that's basically
Like
it.
I actually saw a girl who like was coached by them because they're now at Louisville or the head coaches, and I saw a girl on TikTok who was coached by them, and she was like echoing the same sentiment that she was like they didn't really like, give a lot of guidance.
Huh.
Yeah.
And then so that was, I guess, starkly different from your next experience with coaching.
Yes. Ever since I've been in triathlon, I've had very like concrete, this is what you will do on this day
Yeah.
coaching.
Yeah. So so make sure I'm understanding correctly. You go to Oregon, then you go to New Mexico, then you go to Arizona.
Then I kind of took a year off of school and I was like, I cannot do this NCAA thing anymore. Like,
Okay.
it's ruining me. So I took a year off, and that's when I got into triathlon through through USAT's collegiate recruitment program.
Yeah.
So I was coached by a triathlon coach for the whole of 2022
Okay.
and was like doing some classes online here and there, but not like actually in school or in the NCAA.
Gotcha. I'm gonna take a pause really quick. Sorry to be oddly specific on that.
No, that's
Um,
okay.
yeah. So talk to me then. I guess you take the year off. You're getting into triathlon, and you decide you want to get back into the NCAA game. This is when U of A had the program, correct?
Yeah, so I didn't fully decide necessarily that I wanted to be back in the NCAA. Like it wasn't like I wasn't seeking that out and like talking to a bunch of coaches, but I had stopped working with my first triathlon coach and was like looking for what I was going to do next. And I came to Tucson because I already had an Airbnb and stuff set up here for a camp that I was planning to be part of.
Okay.
So I still came here. And then Wes had just taken the job with U of A. So he was here like coaching some guys while he like, got that all set up. So I reached out to him because I knew him and I was like, oh, can you just help me out while I like get my shit together? And he was like, "Oh, well, sure, but what if you come and be part of my U of A team because you have eligibility?" And at first I was like, oh, that just doesn't really seem like the move. But then I like talked to some people and they were like, everybody said, "Oh yeah, you should do it."
Hmm.
So I was like, "Okay, well, I'll get school paid for and like I'll get a good scholarship. So let's try it out and see what happens."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And during all of this time, what degree were you pursuing?
My bachelor's in, well, it was, I changed my major like 4 times,
We've
but
all been there. Yeah.
ultimately it was it was a bachelor's in law.
That's what I was going to ask. Going back to the arguing thing, like
Yes.
you like to be a little contentious. So, did you end up pursuing that full through, and then now you're wrapping up the last few classes for that?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm finishing that and then I'm starting a Master of Legal Studies in August.
Oh wow! So you're going to be doing that and racing professionally full
Yeah,
time.
but it's online, so it's very chill.
Yeah, so you
And it's
can
only one
pick your own
year.
pace. Oh really?
Right.
One
Yeah.
year master's program?
Yeah, I think because there's only so much you can do in law before you get into the realm of like law school.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you want to go to law
yeah.
school?
Maybe. I'm leaving the option open.
Yeah. There's quite a few female. I don't know if I've met any males, but quite a few female professional triathletes that are lawyers.
Yeah, I was just talking to Tamara Jewett
Yeah,
in Pennsylvania about it and
yeah,
whether I should go to law school or not. And she was like, "Well, you can always do it later. Like plenty of people do it like
yeah,
in their 30s. Like you don't have to go right now."
yeah. That's true. You do have so much time and a lot of runway still for like the athletic career. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you were to go directly into law, let's just say if you weren't doing the triathlon thing, what area of law do you think that you would enjoy the most?
So I haven't looked into it like that specifically, but in terms of the classes I've taken for my undergrad degree, I think I've enjoyed like patent law and intellectual property the most, which is
Hmm.
kind of niche, but it's interesting.
Yeah, that's needed. I got a School of Hard Knocks. I went one time when I had this company I started in college, tried to get all the patents things, and the most thing that I learned is just it's kind of like taxes. You kind of define it as you go along, and then you end up paying a ton of money and hope you do it right. And really, at the end of the day, it all comes down to, well, do you have the money to litigate or to keep somebody off of your
Yeah.
stuff? Which is unfortunate, really.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be like the first person to file and
Yeah.
there's all sorts of stuff like that. So,
Yeah, it's crazy. Timestamp it. So moving back into the triathlon world, then you started going toward this full steam ahead. You took the advice of being coached by Wes and doing the NCAA program. You're going through school. When did you start to really cement internally, like, okay, this is something I think I could do, maybe even after school and do professionally?
I think pretty early on, 'cause I podiumed at a European Cup my first season in 2022 in Portugal. So I think that was like it was pretty clear to me that I could be pretty good, but it was after that there was a lot of like ups and downs of racing of kind of figuring out how to put it all together and like how I had put it all together so early in my career. Because in short course it's just really like, if you don't make that front swim group, you're you're pretty much out of the contention for the podium.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a little bit like up and down with that, but I think I always kind of had some idea that I wanted to keep pursuing it.
Yeah. And now is the pursuit that you are in, are you 100% bought and sold, or do you ever have doubts of like, oh, maybe I should go a different direction?
I would say I'm pretty bought in at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I think especially after my last race in Happy Valley, it's like, well, I like clearly on the right track. I think
Yeah.
after like Oceanside was pretty rough on the bike, and I was a little bit like, oh, what am I doing? Like
Yeah.
every single person is passing me on the bike, but I know like what I'm capable of power wise, so I think it clearly was just figuring out like how to not be afraid and how to like stay connected with a group even though you're not drafting and everything like that. But I definitely put it together a lot better in Happy Valley.
Yeah. So was that day just like a perfect day for you? Mindset rolled in nice. I mean, standing on the podium with and winning with Chelsea Sodaro and Jeannie standing there beside you. Like I read your post, like obviously that was a pinch me moment and it meant a lot to you. But what was the attributing factors of success for that day?
I wouldn't say I like went into it that differently than anything else. I was really nervous. Well, I'm really nervous before every race, but
Yeah,
yeah, I was really nervous and I just kind of kept like redirecting myself and thinking, why not me? And going back to that. Because again, like I know what I'm capable of in training and like kind of where like physiologically I know what I'm capable of. So it's just a question of putting it together. But yeah, I would say in the swim I like did not know who was around me. I could see somebody out like far with Victoria, so I thought maybe that was Chelsea or like Grace. I didn't know who it was, but I was like, oh shoot, somebody went with her, and I don't know if it's one person or multiple people, but I was like, oh, if that's Chelsea and Grace out there, I was like, oh well, they're gone. But then we got out of the water, and I realized that like everybody, I knew I was with Jeannie in the water because I could see
Hmm.
her wetsuit, and eventually I figured out Chelsea was with me, but I didn't know Grace was still with us. So during the swim, I'm like, oh no, this isn't really going well. And then we came out of the water, and I was like, oh, everybody's here. This is perfect. So then we started riding, and then I like pretty quickly started to surprise myself, like how much I was able to just kind of like stay with them. Which I was pushing about the same power as St. George, but in St. George I was so afraid on some of those descents, and there weren't
Hmm.
like those massive sweeping like there were descents and like it was raining and it was a little bit windy, but there was nothing like where you're just like
Yeah,
feel
hitting
like
40, 50 miles an hour.
yeah, nothing
Yeah.
like that. So I think I just like kept like I was very focused, like very mentally in it. And I was like, okay, like so much self-talk, like telling myself, okay, just keep going. Like if they pulled a little bit ahead on a descent or something, like really talking myself through to like catch back up, to not like, not like feel defeated because they got a little bit ahead, to just
Mm.
like be like, okay, I have this, like I can catch back up. And every time I would catch back up until like the last big descent, they got away and got like 2 minutes on me. But I was like, oh, that's pretty good compared to my other races. Like I just stayed with them for practically that whole thing. And then I still had Jeannie with me. So that was really nice.
Yeah. And then you get off onto the run and talk me through that.
Well, I know the run's my strength. So, and I definitely in St. George, I felt like like coming off the bike, I was like, how am I going to run? That was so hard.
Yeah.
But this time, even it was literally like the same exact power. This time I felt a lot better, and I was like, okay, now we just have to like go chase some people down. And I felt pretty confident I could catch either Grace or Victoria, so I was like, okay. And like I didn't know really what Jeannie's level of running would be right now, but like felt pretty confident I could hold her off because I came into transition with her. So I was like, okay, we definitely have a podium, which is like I've never gotten a podium at this like sort of racing before. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. This is fantastic. Um, I wasn't really expecting to pass Chelsea, and like even when I could see her and knew I was reeling her in, I was like, well, maybe she's been going easy this whole time, or like, maybe she's really gonna like make me fight for it.
Hmm.
So I was ready. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go past her, but like she might just go with me and run on my shoulder and like make me sprint in for it because I know she's a really good runner.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna underestimate Chelsea Sodaro. I was prepared to grit it out, but I ended up being able to put some time into her, and I passed Vittoria's husband Danilo, I think, at one point on the course, and I was like trying to ask him like where she was. And then there were like people cheering on the course who I didn't even know, and they're like, "Oh, you have like this much time," and I was like, "Oh, thank God for all these people," because like I'm so nervous right now that like she
Yeah.
might be gaining on me. And
Yeah.
then I even like coming into the finish, I was so nervous. I was like, there was an official, like the one of the head officials was out like in a golf cart or on the bike or something, not the person who was biking with me, but somebody else. And I was like, am I good? Like, have I done everything right?
And what they say?
He was like, yeah, you're good. And I'm like, I don't have a penalty. Like I didn't miss a turn. Like I don't need to go back to somewhere. Like I'm going the right direction. He was like, yeah, you're good. And I was like, okay, cool, great.
Yeah. That's amazing. So then you cross the finish line, you take the tape. What was the interactions with those coming in behind you as you finished?
Um, Pretty like chill interactions. I'm trying to think. I feel like I talked to so many people
Yeah.
after, like I talked to like everybody. Um,
Well, it's such a high too, I imagine.
yeah, but it was a little bit chaotic because they were like wanting me to come talk like on the mic, and then they were getting us all on the podium, and we weren't
Yeah.
really sure where we were supposed to be, so it was a little bit
Yeah.
chaotic. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was really fun, like congratulating everyone and
Mm.
just having post race like chit chats, post race social hour.
Yeah. So when you race and even outside of racing, do you think that you approach situations more from a place of headspace or like from your heart?
Um, I try to approach it with my head, but definitely my heart is
Takes over
what
more?
what like pulls me forward, I would say.
Yeah. It, what do you mean?
Like I think I like approach like like my heart is what drives me, but like I try and bring my head into it too to like
Mhm.
bring some rationality to it.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's more useful to use the head aspect of things when you are in a tough moment or when things are going well and you're trying to more like keep yourself in line?
Um, I think I definitely need to use my head when it's hard. Because otherwise I can get kind of like it's easy to get down on myself or things like that. And it's yeah, I mean it's hard to bring in my head and focus and be like, this is what's really happening in this moment. But I think that's ultimately like what makes it possible to like have success in any given moment is to be able to like bring in the head and be like,
Mm.
I'm not just doing this
Yeah.
like based on like feeling or I'm not like feeling terrible about myself because I could have at the end of the race said, oh, they put 2 minutes into me, like, oh, what a bummer, like that sucks. But then you bring the head into it and it's like, oh, well, I can run 2 minutes faster than most of them, so like let's go see.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So, between your mom and your dad and your grandma, who do you think is most proud of you? That might be hard to measure, but
My mom's definitely the most like emotional about it, I would say.
yeah.
Like she'll just cry. She's like,
Mm.
I'm so proud of you.
Was she at this
Um,
race? Were they at this
yeah,
race?
she
Yeah.
was. She was at the race, and my high school cross country and track coach was able to come.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
that was, and actually her parents came too. So they were all out there watching. So that was
Oh, how
super
special.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I would say it's just very different. My dad passed away in November.
Oh, are you
So,
serious?
yes.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, obviously like, I knew he was proud of me, but in a different like my mom's proud of me and she's like everything you do is amazing. Like,
Mm.
but my dad, his proudness would be like, I'm so proud of you and like I know you can do more.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we have these like team like talent show things that we do before nationals and I would always do stand-up comedy and I would send it to my dad and he'd be like, that's hilarious. But like here's what you need to do to like make it really good.
Yeah. Was your dad a pretty comedic person? Like
Oh yeah,
funny?
that's like what he is known for
Really?
in like well, aside from like being a good lawyer, but like everybody like he'll I mean all his humor was like super dirty and like raunchy and outrageous, but yeah, everybody knows like oh the Tim jokes or like the Tim sayings or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. How old was your dad when he passed?
76?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking questions about your dad?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Well, how did he pass away?
He had cancer that
Mm,
started actually about the same time I started triathlon,
really?
interestingly enough. So it had been going on for a few years and then like it was kind of like a like random thing. Like it was all very under control and like being treated and then suddenly he got like a 10 centimeter tumor in his heart that literally
Oh my
like
goodness.
came up in a month, like literally out of nowhere.
That's
Because he had been
wild.
getting scans the month before and there was nothing. And then suddenly it just like appeared.
Mm,
So then it was pretty quick after that.
yeah. How did he take that in like in his interactions with you and the family?
Um, well, at first it was like not a big deal. Like they were like, "Oh, we see this thing, like we're gonna get it treated." And then suddenly it was like, "Oh, we don't know how easy this is gonna be to treat." And this is all over the course of like a week. And
Wow.
I was at NCAA nationals during this time. So my parents were supposed to go to
Yeah.
nationals and then suddenly
They can't.
they can't or like suddenly he can't and my mom was still going to come and then they realized that it's untreatable so my mom couldn't come because she has to be there with my dad and then he was supposed to have like a few months to a year maybe and then it was only a week before he passed away.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What was was the last interaction that you had with your dad a good one?
um I mean yeah it was like it was pretty clear to everyone that he was like going downhill pretty fast.
Yeah.
um but yeah I mean we like I think I asked him, it might have been the day before, it was probably like 2 days before because he was pretty incoherent the day before. But yeah, I asked him like, "Oh, you do you have any like secrets to tell me? Like anything, anything you haven't told me all this time?" Like I was kind of joking, like Because that was our relationship. Like we weren't super serious with one another, but he just said like I love you, and
Mm.
that was the only thing he had to say. So that's yeah, something I hold on to.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Man, that's super tough. I mean, 7 months. So I don't know if you know this or not, but my dad died when I was 16.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, 7 months after that, I can barely even put together a timeline, honestly, for like the first year, just because there's so much going on, and you're still relatively young too. Losing someone of that caliber at that age is a very hard thing to go through. I guess my question is like, how are you doing?
Um, like I would say I've handled it pretty well. Like obviously it's hard. Like I have my days where I'm like where I show up to swim practice in tears because it's just like hard. And it does still feel very like surreal because I've never had like his parents died before I was born, but then my mom's parents like they're still alive. So I've never really had anyone like super close to me die before. So it's very like sometimes it'll hit me. Like I'm like, "Oh, like that's yep, that's real." Um,
Yeah, no kidding.
but yeah, I think like on the more positives, not it's not positive, but like I have because he was older, so like I have always known that like we weren't gonna have forever. Like I like was pretty sure like he wasn't gonna meet my kids because like
Yeah.
just of the age he was like so
Mm-hmm.
it's always been in the back of my mind that like yeah, I'm not gonna be 50 when I lose my dad. Like
Yeah. Yeah, but still, like, it. I guess it's good to have that like mindset to know. It also brings value to like the moments you do have. But losing someone so sudden like that with no real planning, because oftentimes, like the stories I've heard, it's usually oh cancer, and it's like a battle for a number of years, and it's never
right.
easy to just like say, okay, I've had enough time to prepare for this. But when it's so sudden like that, it does stuff to us that's like, I mean, yeah, I can't imagine doing and operating at the level that you were. I didn't even go to school. I could barely function in school. Like I was just I turned to all kinds of craziness just to try to fill that gap and try to figure out, how to what does it mean to be a man type of a thing. And it's obviously
Right.
different for you as a girl, but like losing your dad is like such a huge thing. That's crazy. It's hard to navigate.
Yeah, I think luckily like triathlon and just like training in general has always kind of been something that's like comforting to me and it's
Hmm.
like a constant. So like the day he died, I like went out and ran 8 miles after because I was like, I just need to like
Yeah.
go be in my own like kind of my own space and like be away from everybody else who's grieving and like get out of the house and get like yeah, just like get away from all of it.
Yeah. When's the last time you cried? You said like you went swimming sometimes and it shows up there.
I cry a decent amount, I feel like. I used to cry like a lot, like as a
Yeah.
not as a child, but like during my time at Oregon, perhaps.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Actually, I didn't I didn't cry before the race in Pennsylvania this time. Before Oceanside in St. George, I just
Oh,
was
you
like
did.
so nervous. Like after the briefing, I just came back and I like I guess in Oceanside it wasn't like on purpose, but then before St. George I was like, well, I need to let it out, I guess. So
Yeah.
I just like let myself have a little cry and then got over it and moved
Yeah.
on and I guess this time I wasn't quite so nervous that I needed to have a cry, but
Yeah. Crying is such a healthy thing. I think for me, as the years went on, it became harder for me to cry. And then I actually went to this retreat thing that my friend paid for me to go to up in British Columbia, Canada, and it really brought me back into touch with like what it means to be able to kind of let loose emotionally, which I think can
mhm.
be a little tougher for guys, but it's such a healthy thing to do. Honestly, we should normalize crying a little bit more because I guarantee when you start up for the line of an Ironman, so many people are crying inside. It usually comes out at the
Right.
finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised I didn't cry at the finish line in Happy Valley because it was also the race was on Father's Day, so that was
Holy
pretty
cow.
special.
Yeah,
Yeah, my mom cried, but
I'm
I
sure.
think I was like, I need to hold it together. I
Yeah.
can't lose it here.
Why can't you?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't sure if I would ever stop then.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta get on this podium and have a little composure about me.
Yeah. What does mental health mean to you? Like is it a thing that you spend time thinking about?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Give me your download.
Well, I'm medicated for my anxiety, so that's like, I don't know. Like mental health is like very real to me.
Yeah.
I do not function well if I'm not on anxiety meds, I get very upset and
Mm.
yeah, like it's not a fun time for me or people around me.
Has it
So
been
yeah,
that way for a long time? Like, or is
yeah,
this
since about like the end of my senior year of high school. Um, yeah, and my mom's on the the same anxiety medication, so
okay?
it's super fun for us.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely something that's really important to me, and I've like seen regular therapists, especially after my dad died. Like that was really important to me to be able to talk about it.
yeah,
Um, and then yeah, sports psychs, like yeah, definitely mental health is really big to me.
yeah. So you've been talking to different, like you said, people who can help provide a place for you to just have space to talk about whatever's going on, or they can ask questions. What are some of the things that you've learned just about that profession, and maybe tools that you use in your personal life or even when you interact with other people about helping them overcome or go through things? It's an
I
oddly
wouldn't say there's
specific
like,
question. Yeah.
yeah, there's not like any like super big takeaways, but I think it's just like having that space kind of like, I think that's the most important thing is to be able to have somewhere where you can discuss that kind of stuff because otherwise it really does just like get swept under the rug. And okay, actually, now that I think about it, the big thing
Okay.
is like, I think it's important to have a space to talk about that stuff before things get bad
Mm,
because other like if you let things get bad and then you're like panicked looking for a therapist, it's like really hard. But if you have somebody who you have that relationship with and you have that space where you can go and talk about like the really hard stuff, and then when shit hits the fan, you have somewhere to go and you have somewhere to direct that.
yeah.
So I think that's like been pretty important to me.
Yeah. Is that a lesson that you learned post after like losing your dad and stuff because you didn't have that space, or did you have that space and you realized the importance of it?
No, I did. I can't remember because I switched therapists like pretty shortly after he died, but because I thought like the one I had, like it just wasn't. I I honestly like thought she wasn't really giving me the space I needed. Like she wasn't pushing me to talk about it or anything, and I was like, it doesn't matter if I seem like I want to talk about it. Like my dad just died. Like we need to talk about that. Like I can't just act like everything's fine.
Yeah.
So I found a new one, but yeah, I mean, it definitely was helpful, like immediately, even though it wasn't like my favorite therapist in the world. Like
Yeah.
it was helpful to have somebody.
Well, you just revealed something quite interesting to me that I'd love to dive into then, because like you said, you need someone to help push you to open up. What helps you to feel pushed to open up? Like, is it Lydia? I want you to tell me, blah blah blah, or is it the asking of a specific set of questions, or what helps you to open up?
I think yeah, I definitely need like a push. Like the previous therapist I talked about, like she would be like, "Oh, well, it seems like you don't want to talk about this, so we're not going to talk about it." And I was like, "Well, but I probably seem like I don't. Like that probably means we should talk about it."
Yeah.
Like, of course, I'm happy to talk about my cats and like what my cat ate for breakfast today, but like, is that really what's gonna
Yeah.
better me? No. So I like need somebody to be like, okay,
Mm,
we're enough about your cat's breakfast. Like, let's move on to the deeper stuff.
yeah. What is something in your mind right now that is taking up like the most mental bandwidth for your day to day life?
I don't know. It's been a very, like, it's been a crazy few weeks because I went to Philly and then I went to the race and then I went back to Philly and then I went to DC to visit my best friend from high school. And then I went back to Philly again, and then I came
Wow.
back to Tucson, and then when I got back here, my girlfriend and I got a dog. Um, so now we have a dog.
Nice.
And yeah, so it's just been crazy. So today's like my first real, like real in quotation marks, because I did some training like the end of last week, but my first real day back to training
Yeah.
since the race, because I took my little mid-season break. So
Yeah.
pretty much chaos is what's
Yeah.
occupying my mental space, but good chaos.
Good chaos. Well, how much time do you have now between like the next thing that's going to pull you away from kind of home base?
Not till the beginning of August. So this is like my
Oh yeah.
little mid-season training block. So that's nice. Although we are moving apartments in the middle of July. So
Yeah. Wow. So I'll be busy, and hopefully they have a better dishwasher.
I know, hopefully it doesn't break 3 times.
That's funny. So tell me a little bit about TTL. Like I know Eric and Paula. Um, Obviously they're really nice people, but what was your level of involvement? Like, how did you get hooked up with them, and then how's that been going?
Yeah, so I think they just like put on the story or or their Instagram post, something like that.
Like application?
Um, yeah, the application back in November,
Yeah,
I think.
2024.
Yeah, like towards the end of November. And I just applied for it. Like I wasn't like thinking a whole lot about it. I was just like, oh, sure, like can't hurt to apply for it. Like I don't know if they'll pick me because I've already been in this sport and like I don't really know what they're looking for, but might as well. So then they picked me to do an interview and I did the interview. And then suddenly, once I did the interview, I was like, oh, I actually feel invested in getting this. I'm like, okay, please choose me.
Yeah.
So then they chose me, and luckily I got to actually meet them when they were here in Tucson in, when was that? February? So that was pretty fun. And I got to swim with Paula. And yeah, since then I feel like it's been just like really fun to be involved at races and like have like be at races with them, which I think is pretty unique. Like not everybody who's on the Devo team gets to
Really
actually like
races.
be involved with them like face to face so much.
Yeah.
So that's been really fun. And I feel like yeah, it's just been like kind of like a pretty special like relationship that I feel like we've built, and I text them for all sorts of questions. And
That's awesome.
yeah, I was texting Paula pictures of the dog. She was very excited about my dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely like developed into like not just like professional but more of like a friendly relationship, which is really fun, and it's helped me feel very like comfortable as well. Like I didn't feel like I was showing up to Oceanside and like I was just alone. I mean, I
Hmm.
had my mom and my coach were both there, but like I didn't feel like I was just like this girl who's like there all by herself. Like I felt like I was kind of part of something, which was really
Yeah.
special. And same in St. George.
Yeah, being able to have community no matter where we are is such a, I think, key piece of just our overall well-being to be able to
Hmm.
enjoy and thrive in life.
Yeah,
How many people are a part of the TTL program right now
I
or
believe
development?
it's 6.
Okay. And have you got to meet all of them? Like you guys have like a all everybody get together camp at one point?
I think they were like considering doing that in the fall. I don't know what the status is on that,
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah.
yeah, I've met John Reed and Liam Donnelly through like short course and that stuff, but I haven't met the other 3.
Yeah. Cool. So, switching gears a little bit, tell me, are you a religious person? Are you spiritual at all?
That's a great question. So I like grew up going to church, like Episcopalian, just like pretty standard church.
Yeah.
And then I went to a Quaker school for
Quaker school.
first through 12th grade. I don't know if you're familiar with the Quakers.
I'm not enlighten me.
So it's like a branch of Christianity, but it's very niche, and it's like it's one of the like original like when everybody was coming over from
Like
England and
pilgrims, yeah.
yeah, colonizing, there were the Quakers, and they were one of the religions that was like persecuted in England. They didn't want them to exist. So they came over, and that's like the Quaker Oats guy is like
Yeah. He's got the hat,
one
the
of the
hair,
yeah.
the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like it's very there's like no pastor or anything, like no priest. It's just like the core kind of belief is that like there's the light of God in everybody,
Hmm.
and that so there at school we would have meeting for worship once a week, which is where like the whole like middle school or high school, whatever division you're in, they come together in the meeting room and you sit there and you just sit in silence for like 40 minutes to an hour.
Like complete
And
silence?
yeah, you sit there and you're silent. And
Interesting.
sometimes there would be like somebody who's instructed to like lead, and it would begin with like a guided meditation or like some like queries to focus on, but sometimes not. And then so anybody who's moved to speak who like has a message that like, and the origin is of it is like if it you feel like God has like given you a message that you want to share, but some people just take like some people aren't like actually Quaker. So it's just like if you feel like something that's important for you to share with the
Yeah.
community,
Hmm.
you can just stand up out of the silence and you share your message and then you sit back down. Like you don't clap, you don't, nothing like that. You just share your message, sit down, back to silence. And like,
Interesting.
yeah, sometimes like if it was a particularly like tumultuous time in society, like tons of people would stand up or like
Hmm.
sometimes nobody would stand up.
Did you ever
Anyway,
stand up?
I might have
I mean,
once
12
in
years is a long time.
I might have once in 4th grade. Um, I don't remember though, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, so the Quaker, there's like some number of guiding principles. I forget. It might be 6 or 7, but it's like spices is the word that the acronym for it. So it's simplicity, peace, integrity, community, equality, and stewardship. So there's
Okay.
6. So
Solid
anyway,
values.
to answer your question, I
Yeah.
don't know specific, like I believe that there's something like the universe,
A
like
higher
everything
power.
kind of like conspires together to like everything will work out in a certain way. I don't know if it's like one person being like, oh, this is what this person needs to happen, or like I don't know if it's someone you can specifically like pray and talk to, but like I do believe in like you like the energy you put out and like the things you manifest, and like that's what's meant for you will find you. And I think I've seen that a lot in my own life.
Hmm.
And I do believe in like definitely since my dad has passed, I'm like forced to kind of think about it more. I'm like, okay,
Mm.
well,
Like the
like,
eternal, like if there's something after
yeah, I'm
this
like,
or
well, where is he? Like, and obviously, like, we make our own meaning, you know? So, like, the meaning I've made of it is like he was obsessed with coyotes, and in Tucson, we have a lot of coyotes. So every time I see a coyote, I'm like, hey, Dad. And like, that's like, I'm like, I don't really know, but like, it's nice to think that like
yeah, it gives you a
that could
connection.
be him, or like that could be a way that like I'm communicating with him. Um, But yeah, so I don't know specifically what I believe, but I definitely like have been guided by those core principles, and just like in terms of the way I kind of navigate the world, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. The fact that you're able to still memorize that spices, that's going to stay with me. Um,
Yeah, since first grade, it's been ingrained.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Some would say it's brainwashing, but I think that those things kind of things are important. I grew up in and out of different private schools, and usually they were of Christian origin. And we would have
Mhm.
chapel, which wasn't quite necessarily the same as the 40 minutes silence thing, but we'd usually sing or something, and someone would talk or whatever. And
Right.
in our religion, it was like, oh, don't clap because then you're lifting up self or type of a thing. So
Oh, right.
it was interesting. But a lot of those core principles, I think, if because something that's become more popular here in the past, I would say 3 to 5 years, is this idea of like cultural Christianity, and it's adopting
Hmm.
kind of the core principles of Christianity in how we treat others. Which, if we were all to do that, the world would definitely be a better place. But we are
Right.
inherently human. But I appreciate you sharing that because that's really interesting with the backstory, like for who you are as an individual, things you've gone through, and then what you'll do in the future. Do you think that? Well, let me ask you this: do you want kids? Do you want to ever have
Yeah.
kids? You do.
Yeah.
Would you teach them these principles?
Um, I mean, I would teach them like about them. I don't know. That's actually something I've never thought about, is like, because I think like raising your kids with no religion at all is like not that they like need religion specifically, but I have had members of my family who were raised with no religion, and then they've gone like completely like
Just
the
off the deep
far
end.
extreme
Yeah.
end. Like my mom's 2 cousins were raised with no religion. Now one's a Jehovah's Witness and the other's like a Catholic priest, but like to the like
Nth
highest
degree.
extent, like does sermons in Latin. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah,
So
like
like Roman
lives, I think, in
Catholic.
some sort of like monastery or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
like they're very serious about their religion. So I'm like, okay, I want to like teach my kids some moderation, that we can
Mm-hmm.
have
Balance.
religion and life, and it doesn't have to be like, it can just be something that guides us, but that we can pursue other things at the same time.
Yeah. How does your partner think about these things?
Um, I think she kind of like agrees with me. Um, like she's similar. She's like, I don't know what God I believe in, but um yeah, like similar of like we believe in something, but like we're not sure
Yeah.
what. But honestly, I really enjoyed Judaism, so I wouldn't be averse to raising my kids Jewish.
Yeah.
Nobody in my family's Jewish, nor is my girlfriend, but
Yeah.
it's really fun. I like I like Judaism.
What's attractive about Judaism?
Um, I just like grew up around a lot of Jewish people, and like it just seems very like, it's like you take all the like parts out of Christianity where like you get punished for things or you go to hell or like any of that sort of stuff. It like just removes all of that, and then it's like the same core beliefs.
Hmm,
And they have really
interesting.
good food. So,
They do have good food. I think that they still believe in hell, if I'm not
oh,
mistaken.
really?
Now, let me Google this because let me see. Core beliefs of Judaism. I love ChatGPT. Do you use ChatGPT?
Yeah,
So they believe
unfortunately.
in one eternal, all-powerful God, the covenant, which we could get into that, the Torah, ethical living, worship and prayer, people of Israel, coming of the Messiah. So I would. Do they believe in hell? I'm just curious. I don't
Yeah,
actually. Oh, they do not.
there we go.
Not in the Christian sense. Most traditional Jews believe that there's something called Gehenna or Sheol, which is like the underworld. Okay, yeah, which the Bible talks about. Interesting. Well, I learned something today.
Right. So maybe like like you might be punished if you're a terrible person, but like you're
Yeah.
not going to burn for eternity.
Yeah, I don't believe in that either. If you really did have like an all-loving God, who would? Because if we did go to heaven and like some of family members or whoever didn't go and they were in hell, what kind of a terrible place would we want to live where we can constantly see, hear someone like burning forever? That doesn't even
Yeah,
make sense to
that
me.
would be terrible.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I don't
I
think it's
also
true.
feel like you can probably punish people in other ways that don't involve them having to burn for eternity.
Yeah,
Like,
like an eternal death. Like I feel like that would.
yeah,
There's some people in history who could. That would be a good enough punishment just to
yeah,
be
true.
non-existence. So let me ask you this: to getting toward the end of the questions, because I know you got to go soon. When you die, what do you think that the best case scenario in your mind is? Like, what do you believe would happen to you, or what do you like
Oh
to believe,
gosh.
or what do you think would be?
Oh, that's really tough. I don't know, like rebirth would be nice. Like not conscious, like obviously you're not gonna consciously be reborn. Like you won't know, but like I think that would be ideal. Like your soul just like goes into somebody else and
Hmm.
but I don't know. Then I'm like, well, it would be nice to like see my dad again, but I'm like, I don't know if that's I don't know. There's lots of possibilities.
Yeah. You're not married to any single one.
Yeah, I'm not,
Not one doesn't seem more comforting than the other.
yeah. I did just start watching a show called I think it's called Upload, and the premise is that they've figured out how to
Consciousness.
take your consciousness and upload it to some like it's like essentially like a digital like video game type server. So you go and you're in this like essentially you like choose like a retirement community, but it's your like heaven community and you go and you're like uploaded there and you like have
That's
full
interesting.
consciousness and you can like talk to your loved ones who are still alive as your upload.
Wow.
And I don't think I would want that. That seems really
It's a little creepy
creepy.
concept. Yeah. Being trapped
But
in something. As
yeah.
humans, we seem to be very obsessed, at least in modern culture now, with this whole AI boom and consciousness. Everybody's talking about consciousness. What is consciousness? Collective consciousness, yada, 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 mushrooms, this, that, and the other. But it's like everyone wants to figure out how to extend their lives into immortality, whether it's freezing your brain for 1,000 years until you can bring it back, or uploading, like you're saying, to some kind of computer, or maybe AI and humans become like a symbiotic thing after death. Yeah, it's really interesting to see how people believe
Yeah,
that.
I think I would not want that. I think like one life is probably enough.
Yeah.
I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like you want to leave an impact because you know that you can't, like you're not here forever, but you want to impact people and whether that like lives on beyond you or just like you made their time here a little bit better. Like I think that's what's important is like making everybody's time here a little bit better. Like, like I enjoy being the person on my team who like makes everybody laugh, like the same
Mm,
way that my dad would make everybody around him laugh. And
yeah.
like I think that's like one, like he's living on like through me because I'm trying to be the same that he was, like making like giving everybody something to laugh about.
Yeah.
But also then like that's my impact and like that
Mm,
like they'll remember that,
yeah.
as like they go through their lives and like
Mm,
maybe they'll pass that on to the next person. Like I guess a little bit of like the butterfly effect. But I think I don't, it's like cliche, but people say like if you live right, like one life is enough. But I think that really is true. Like if you're intentionally trying to make an impact on people, I
yeah.
think like you can have like a very good one life. You don't need to
Mm.
extend your consciousness
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, in line with that. So I do come from a worldview of like Christianity and all going back
Hmm.
to, a couple of humans. But the idea of, even if you don't believe in that right now, like you're saying, your dad, you inherit epigenetics, pieces of who he was. And then through
Right.
him raising you, like there's different character traits or quirks that like you carry on to the next person. And it is a cool thing to know that we can pass that on to someone else. Because my wife and I would like to have kids eventually. And just thinking about that, because like I'm 32, 33, what if I raced someone, they would have inherent personality traits of me, even without me doing the nurture piece. But then
Mhm.
as you influence someone, yeah, there's a lot to be left behind. So I guess I'm just agreeing with you. And
Yeah.
yeah. So let me ask you this final question. For somebody who is wanting to also pursue this world of triathlon and they want to impact people and leave the world a better place, what is some low hanging fruit, like practical advice that you think you could give to those younger kiddos to um, to take and try to implement?
I think what like this definitely hasn't always been my outlook, and in the past I was actually like a very shy person. Like I wasn't super social, but I think like now I've realized just like how much you can control your own experience and other people's experiences just by kind of trying to like be a positive person to be around. And like yeah, I think like I was definitely made like have as the season has gone on made more and more of an effort of that. Like that's like I can create who I am in the sport of triathlon, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Like you don't just like have results and then people talk about you and like you turn into a person who people like celebrate. I think you have to control that in a way, or not like control it, but you have to like if you want people to think really highly of you, like you have to be somebody
mm,
who people like think highly of. So like whether it's just like congratulating somebody at the end of a race or like sending a message to someone who like didn't have the race of their life, but like you're impressed by like how much they saw it through or something like
mm,
that. Like I think that's been really important to me. And like even on a smaller scale, like not just like anybody who I'm racing against, but like my own teammates. Um, I think it's helpful. This is like maybe going a little bit beyond your question, but like I always try and think like when I struggled so much at Oregon my freshman year, I'd like take that and think about like the freshmen or anyone younger than me on my team. And I think to myself, like, okay, like, what did I need then? Like, what person did I need when I was at Oregon and I didn't have that? And like, I try and be that person. So, like, if someone on my team is really like struggling, I just like send them a text and say, like, oh, if you ever like want to come over, or like, if you want to go get a coffee. And like, I have had like people who've taken me up on that offer to like go get coffee. And I think it's nice to be that presence for them, but it's also very healing for me to be like,
mm,
okay, I didn't have this. I didn't have people who like when I was a freshman who was like dumb and stupid and making all these
mm,
mistakes. Like I didn't have anybody giving me that grace and like offering to like be a listening ear and give advice. But now I'm in this place where I can be that. And I think that's just like I think that's the biggest thing you can do in the sport is think like what do you want to see from other people? And then you can't control what anybody else does, which is what I was saying in the beginning, but you can control what you do. So you just have to, like, you have to be that person that you want to see.
Are you still there? I don't know what happened.
I have no idea. That was so bizarre.
Did your screen say like can't connect or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never had that happen in all the time that I've been doing this podcast. That was really crazy.
that's okay. I was almost at the end of my sentence, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, do you remember the last thing you were saying? I
I was
mean,
just saying, like,
yeah,
you can't, like, control what other people do, but,
yeah.
like, you can make the sport full of the kind of people you want to see by being that kind of person and inspiring other people to be like that. Because I hope that, like, if I treat my teammates with that kind of grace, like
Mm,
4 years down the line when they're a senior or a fifth year and they'll have a freshman who's really struggling and is making lots of mistakes because they're young and stupid, like they won't say, "Oh, that idiot, like why are they doing that?" They'll say like, "Oh, come get coffee with me and like let me give you advice based on what I've learned."
yeah. A blessing offered is a blessing received, I think is what you were saying too. And like that's so true. Being able to offer anything to somebody who maybe needs a little connection is such a blessing. But
Yeah.
yeah. So, well, Lydia, you are a very deep thinker. I appreciate you taking the time and allowing me to ask and prod questions about
Yeah.
various different topics in life. But I will say this: I've never said yes to someone before when they are like asking about, potentially being on the podcast. Not to rat you out a little bit, but I'm so glad I did because I didn't know about these different other pieces of your life, and I feel like I'm a better person for it. So, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and being flexible with me on the time multiple times to make it happen.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely like I've listened to your podcast a lot and I've like the questions you ask people, I'm like, "Oh, those are the questions I wish more people asked," because you can
Mm,
ask like I can tell the story a million times of how I got into triathlon, but like
yeah,
ultimately that's not what's interesting about me. So,
yeah. For sure. Well, maybe in the future we'd have to have you on again and dive more into some of those topics. But yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you
Lydia,
so much.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much to Lydia for coming on the pod and allowing me to dive into her life, especially sharing about losing her dad. That touches a deep place and a chord in my heart, obviously, for the things that I've gone through. So for her to share so freely and willingly was a special opportunity for me to get to dive in with her. If you made it to this point in the podcast, just want to say thank you so much. Make sure to check out our show note descriptions for all the different things. We do have the socks. Would love to get those out to you guys. So if you want to check those out, check out the link in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Continues to help grow us there. And if you are listening on the podcast platforms such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts, if you could like, review, comment, subscribe, follow, whatever you can do on those different platforms, please do that. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.